Welcome to the class on computational neuroscience, Neuronal Dynamics of Cognition. Cognition has several aspects. One of them is memory. We can remember different things. You may remember the name of the President of the United States. You may remember your first day at school. You may remember a concept such as an apple. Now the question is, how do we remember these different things? Our memory has different aspects. It has aspects that go far back in time, that are relatively recent in time. There are aspects that are more factual, more episodic. This memory of concepts is something I'm interested in. Now, memory is stored in the brain, more precisely in the network of neurons that we have in the brain. And in fact, each little cubic millimeter of brain material contains already 10,000 neurons or more. And these neurons have these long cable-like extensions. And these extensions, if you just look in this cubic millimeter, make up already 3 kilometers of cable. These cables are there so that neurons make connections to each other, connections to the neighbors, connections that go long range. And what I'm going to show you is that the memory actually sits in the connections between the neurons. So memory sits in the brain, spread out, and this is quite different from the situation that you have in a classical computer. In a classical computer, you have sort of a memory chip that's separated from the CPU, from the central processing unit. And if you want to process some pieces of information, you have to load it up from memory. Now, in the brain, we just have this network of 10 to the 10 neurons, a large number of neurons. Each neuron makes 1,000 or 10,000 connections or even more. And there's no strict separation of memory and the processing. In a way, of course, we do have different areas in the brain, but the memory is spread out across many different neurons, and it sits in the connections. So, this fact that there's no separation of processing and memory, that the memory is distributed, this is the central feature that we are going to look at this week. To understand a bit more about the type of memory we are interested in, let's look at a little text. I give you a few seconds just to read this text. So please press the pause button and read the text. So I suppose that you have read the text, that you understand its meaning. Isn't our brain amazing? Isn't it fascinating? So basically what it does is takes partial information, and out of this partial information, it makes complete information. So your brain fills in the missing information. And that's what we call auto-associative memory. Auto-associative memory because it's different from a situation where I associate one thing with the next. The general concept of a bird with a specific example. Or your concept of vacation may trigger you ideas of a beach. This is associative memory. The specific case is auto-associative memory, where we fill in missing information of the same concept, of the same item. And just before we continue, take a few minutes to tick your answers on this quiz.